I'm looking a little sick and sounding a little sick. It's because I am. But anyways, okay, the question was, what fighters would I like to see in the UFC and WEC weight divisions get signed? I'll start at the top, I think, and work my way down. Heavyweight, you gotta go with Fedor. It's not gonna happen, but that's who you'd like to see. If we're going on the realm of realistic, I would say Alistair Overeem would be the guy to pick. But anyways, Fedor, of course, #1 heavyweight in the world. It speaks for itself. Alistair's an up-and-coming, well, not so much up-and-coming, he's been around for a while, but a guy who's recently becoming more of a high-profile heavyweight. He's got his cardio kind of fixed. He's got great Muay Thai striking. He's got a pretty solid ground game, at least on an offensive level. He would be an interesting matchup for a lot of heavyweights in the UFC. 205. Probably Ricardo Arona. I think a lot of people have said it. Arona's style fits the UFC to a T. He would be a very, very bad matchup for most of the division, really, under the UFC's rules, because a lot of the things, like, he was a fighter from Pride that actually probably suited the UFC rule set better than the Pride rule set, and I'd have to go with him. And that's somewhat realistic, because I mean there is a rumor that Vanderlei Silva's trying to get the talks going, so that might happen. 185, kind of a tie here, and that is between Yoshihiro Akiyama, because I would love to see what he could do in the UFC, and Gegard Mousasi. Mousasi's an excellent kickboxer. His ground game is ever improving. Akiyama's got a good ground game. He's got good power in his hands, although his stand-up's still a little bit sloppy. He's an excellent judoka, and would be an interesting matchup, both of them, against a lot of people. Welterweight, Jake Shields, easy. Jake Shields is arguably #2 in the world. I don't have him there, but top 5 at the very least. He's a phenomenal grappler. His striking is getting better and better. Trains with a great camp at Cesar Gracie. With the Diaz brothers being there, along with Gilbert Melendez, he would be an excellent addition, and no other name really even comes to mind. WEC welterweight division. It's always been a bit of a thin division, really. Perhaps someone from like the old IFL days, Jay Haran, who was brought up by Chase, would be a good pick. I mean, he's a phenomenal fighter, great wrestler, improving hands, improving grappling skills. Was in the UFC, lost to GSP and Jonathan Goulet, so just keep him away from the Canadian boys, and he should be okay. Lightweight UFC. Although Aoki is my pick as #1 in the world, not BJ Penn, because we're going to get some hate for that, he would probably not be greatly suited to the UFC's rule sets. I think there's maybe better people. I'm thinking Eddie Alvarez is the somewhat likely guy on the realistic side who would come. On the fantasy side, I'd like to see Jay-Z Cavalcanti, but K1's not letting him go anywhere. Eddie Alvarez is a great boxer by MMA standards, good wrestler, good chin, can take a beating. His grappling does need a lot of work, but there's a lot of guys he can still give a lot of trouble to. Jay-Z has pretty nice hands, pretty good wrestler, and good grappling. He trains with ATT, which is a solid camp, although his leg's been a bit of a question mark in recent days. We will see if he can come back and be the Jay-Z monster of old. Then, lightweight in the WEC, I'm going to go Gilbert Melendez, a guy who's kind of fallen from grace. He used to be like a consensus top 10 lightweight in the world. Lost to Josh the Punk Thompson, who would be another guy you could pick for this category, I think. But I would probably prefer to see the Punk in the UFC again. Melendez is kind of rebuilding his career. Another CZ Gracie guy. I would love to see him fight Jamie Varner. I think that would be a good fight. I also think it would be a good fight to see him and Donald Cerrone. I think he would probably dominate the WEC's lightweight division for a little bit and then come up to the UFC. I think that's what they should probably use that in the welterweight division for in the WEC, is to establish names and then bring them up to the show, kind of like a farm system. Featherweight, Kid Yamamoto, really no question. Kid is a phenomenal wrestler. He has dangerous hands. He has a very solid grappling background. He would make great fights with Uriah Faber, maybe even Jens Pulver, just for nostalgia's sake. Also, a pretty good fight with Mike Thomas Brown, I think, and Leonard Garcia, and Jose Aldo. I'd actually really like to see him fight Jose Aldo. Bantamweight, a couple of guys come to mind immediately, but I'm going to go with Atsushi Yamamoto, the little kid, so to speak. He's somewhere in the top 10 at bantamweight in the world. He's not number 2. That would be Ueda, but I don't particularly care for Ueda all that much, and I like Atsushi Yamamoto, so I'd pick him. Yamamoto is a good wrestler. Basically, everything I applied to Kid Yamamoto can be applied to Atsushi Yamamoto, just to a lesser extent, really. I don't think he would beat Miguel Torres, but then again, I don't think anyone would. But I do believe he could have interesting matchups with Ronnie Yaya, Yoshihiro Maeda, Manny Tapia, and a host of others. Joe Benavidez, if he goes down to bantamweight, which I think he will, but I'm not sure on, but we'll see. Yeah, that's and Brian Bowles, of course. Him and Brian Bowles, I think, would be a phenomenal fight. That's the list. Love it or hate it, and I'm out.